Okay, good morning. So today's lesson is building on everything that we've done in the previous half term to do with algorithms and programming, but we want to focus on string formatting. So string is text. Formatting just means that we can do some clever things like rounding to a certain number of decimal places or padding things out so they always take up, say, 3 characters or all sorts of useful ways that we can manipulate, which just means change and adjust strings. So let's have a look and see what we can do. We need to be able to format, which means changing the way things are displayed, output, which is text on the screen, so that the end user can see it exactly as they require, exactly as they want it. So we've already learned about lists. We've got a list of characters here, and we're using a for loop to iterate through each item in here. So this looks like a list of sandwiches. I don't know, cheese, ham, tomato, I don't know. We're iterating through each of them to display them. And we'll display them one at a time. Well, what happens if we use this in a slightly larger program? This time we're saying, well, if sandwich is cheese, then we're going to keep track of how many cheese sandwiches we've got. If it's ham, we'll keep track of how many ham. Oh, it's not tomato, it's tuna. And then if we want to display it, we can display the total number of cheese sandwiches and ham sandwiches and tuna sandwiches. Well, wouldn't it be nice if we could line this up beautifully? So instead of it all being a bit higgledy-piggledy, if we can display it in terms of columns. So to do that, we can use a string dot format. So let's have a look at some examples. This looks horrible at the moment. Here we go. This is a string. How do I know it's a string? Because it's got 2 double quotation marks in. It's got some moustache brackets in, a matching pair of moustache brackets, these curly braces. And then after the string, we're saying dot, which means we're going to do something with the string. What we're going to do, we're going to format it. Well, that just means we're going to put in this value here. So this is going to say Alice has 5 cupcakes. That's nice and easy. The clever thing about doing this, because I mean, we could have just done Alice has, quotation marks, plus str5 plus quotation marks cupcakes. The clever thing is, if we do it this way, we can put multiple values in. So this is going to say, well, I'll pause it and you can tell me what it says. Yeah, so it's going to say Bob has 2 kittens because this first parameter is going to go in here. This second parameter is going to go in here. But a great question, what are the curly braces? They're placeholders. They are there to say, I want to replace these curly braces with something. What are we going to replace them with? Well, that. But we can also do some clever stuff in here. If you really wanted to, you can put the order in. So you can say Carl the, and then the value at position 1 has a pet, and then the value at position 0. This is really irritating and stupid. I don't know why anyone would want to do this, but it's possible. So it's not going to say Carl the llama has a pet python. It's going to say Carl the python at position 1 has a pet llama at position 0. Because we can say the position. Again, that's not particularly helpful yet. You can also, instead of numbers, give them names. So Elaine submitted 10, because that's the first value. And then the placeholder here has got a name. So we can say A is equal to assignments. This is going to say Elaine submitted 10 assignments, which is a bit more easy to use, a bit more easy to understand. This looks horrible, but it's beginning to be super helpful and rather useful. Let's see. This is going to be Danny ate 15 pounds worth of chocolate. Well, why? Well, first of all, this is at position 0. And we've only got the first one. Where's my mouse gone? Disappeared. Oh, there it is. Danny ate 15. But it's not just 15, it's 15 with a decimal place and then 2 spaces. So 15 and then a colon. The colon says I want to give more information about it. Decimal place, rounded to 2 positions, and it's a floating point, a decimal value. Let's have a look closely. That's the first position. That just means we're going to apply some formatting to it, and this is going to be 2 decimal places. All right, this comes back to what we wanted for our sandwiches. So we're not having 0.6 to get to 6 decimal places. This is just going to be 6, which means 6 characters wide. Notice it's not 0:6 to say the first value. If we ignore it, then it just assumes it's whichever one comes next. So we've got some rather fun things that we can do here. This is saying I want to fill up 10 characters, but on the right-hand side of the screen. This is saying on the left-hand side of the screen, and this is saying I want to take up 8 places, showing 2 decimal places, but in the middle. So before I do any more, I think it's worth experimenting here. I'll let you do activity 1 on your own because there's nothing much useful there. At this point, we just want to experiment with these. So are there any useful ones here? Now, I'll pause the video and I'll let you experiment, and once you've had a play, I'll pause at that point and we'll go through them. Okay, so I just want to go through how to do this string formatting thing and what you can expect in the practical exam. So you will get a printed copy and a digital copy of the PLS, the Python language subset. So you can find this at the top of the VLE, but you get a printed copy in the exam. And this has a reference guide of all the stuff that you basically need to know for Python. So you don't need to remember all of Python. So we have a look through, and I'd recommend pressing Control and F to search to find. I'm going to search for format to try and find where we do string.format. Here we go. It's got a whole section, 16 pages of advice for Python. But you want to be familiar with this before you get to your mock exam or your actual exam, so you know how to use this help. So it says something.format and then some placeholders, and it tells you things like right align, center align, or however many number of places. So let's see what that means. We've got some code here where we've got cheese sandwiches, ham sandwiches, and tuna sandwiches. If we want all of these to be lined up, then, well, can we replace the type of sandwich with a placeholder? And can we replace the number with a placeholder? And if we do, then we can do format and pass in the type of sandwich, which is cheese, and pass in the number of cheese sandwiches, which is num cheese. So it displays the same thing at the moment. Seems pretty pointless me changing it. But we can say how many spaces it's going to take up. So let's see, cheese is the longest one. So we'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 characters. Let's go for 10 characters. So there's plenty more if we decide a cucumber one. Now we've got undefined at the moment because we haven't got 11 values passed in. This is the position. I don't want the position. I want the length. So that's better. Can you see now how this has taken up 10 spaces? So I'm going to copy that and then just put in, what was it, ham and tuna. I know I've still got num cheese 3 times. We'll need to change that. So now they're all nicely lined up. But you can also put in how they are aligned. So this is going to be in the center. This is going to be on the right, which is rather nice, isn't it? And then you can have, let's have 4.0 cheese slices, shall we? So it's going to be the next available one. I could put a 1 in there, but it's pointless. I don't need to. I'll just say the next available one to, what did I press? F11. To 2 decimal places. And we've got 4.00 sandwiches, or to 1 decimal place, or to 10 decimal places if you really want. Doesn't really matter. Or if you just want it to be 5 characters long, aligned to the right, or to the middle, or to the left, you can see how powerful this is for displaying stuff on your screen. It might not look straightforward when you look at it, which is why we've got time now to experiment with it, and why it's worth being aware of this part of the PLS, which tells you how to do all of this stuff. So open this up, do Control F to search for string formatting, work your way through, and I think it's activity 3 and 4 which asks you to sort out the width and the padding and everything else like I've just done. So hopefully, if you work through these instructions, you'll end up with something that can completely control how you display stuff onto the console output. You can display any variable, any width, right align, center align, left align, using characters as separators. Really helps tabulate or format in a table the data that you present. When you finish, make sure that your code is in your Word document, that your Word document is saved, and then you upload it to Half-Term 4, Algorithms and Programming 4 on the VLE. Please double check that the Word document is saved and closed before you upload it, otherwise it's just going to be the blank Word document and you'll get 0 marks for it.